This is Lagoon Radio.
Good morning and welcome to the newspaper review on Lagoon Radio. My name is Olumakaiye. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Who's the gentleman here?
I said gentleman. I didn't say gentleman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
So who is the moi moi?
I think I'm the moi because the color of my top is looking like moi.
Red or moi moi?
I finally casted myself. All right, yeah, welcome to Lagoon Radio newspaper review, and we'll be casting live to you from Marina, Lagos. Of course, Lagoon Radio is the number one online gospel radio powered by the Diocese of Lagos, Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion. And as you can listen, as you can see, as you can saw, I'm not here alone. I'm here with three other beautiful angels. Don't allow your heads to swell. And we'll be doing the newspaper review together. Here with me, Alawo. According to her, Alawo Olumakaiye. What's your middle name, Seth?
Christiana.
Auntie Christy. Alawo Olumakaiye Christy. I also have Yennefer Yubril. She's the Yahoo among our midst, in our midst. Don't allow me to taboo. She's the Yahoo in our midst, and you always see her with the laptop, and she's always serious.
I have an assistant too.
And actually, the Yahoo self no pay. The Yahoo no pay Jennifer like. Yeah.
Is it not the Yahoo that I use it to buy the top that I have here?
The my top, four tops. I also have Taiwa Adiola Shabiole, aka DJ Shab, the one and only Shab of DJ Shab, DJ Skrrr of Lagoon Radio. What happened?
Mic check. Good morning. Thank you for the eulogy.
Say this is where your own mic is. That you're eating that place.
Oh, sorry.
Any pay?
Thank you for the eulogy.
Any pay?
Wedding.
He said I can't number.
No. When it comes to money, why is it everything about you is money?
Leave me.
Because it is
Okay,
money.
good morning. How was your night?
Night was.
It seems like we're wearing the same shades of.
Let me say your own moi has only Rodo. But my own after Tashe and Shombo.
I want lax oil.
With some spice of
Lax oil.
garnish with some teaspoonful or tablespoonful of palm
It's
oil.
as if they use one spoon to cook one bag of moi moi.
You're analyzing me like this. I don't fight trouble.
In short, the color of your top is a lighter shade of moi to mine.
Without that.
Low budget.
With
moi
only
moi.
Rodo.
Low budget moi moi.
All right, in no particular order, we'll be taking the Authority paper, Daily Champion, Daily Independent, Nigerian Pilot, Al Jazeera, This Nigeria, National Economy Daily Trust, Nigerian Tribune, Blueprint, the Leadership Papers, New Telegraph. This day we have lorry loads of newspaper to review this morning, but we are actually going to just be picking a few, picking some. So I'll be starting with the Authority papers. At the top of the Authority papers, disregard IU's diatribe against DSS, says Afunaya. That's on page 6 of the Authority papers. And NCC moves to strengthen AOL administration. You can get that on page 11. And this is on presidency. Why Buhari signed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2022. That's on page 19 and on to page 20. Still on the Electoral Act, IPAC says all eyes on INEC now. Anyway, to me, all eyes have always been on INEC, and I think there's a way INEC used to divert eyes away from them. Like
It's gonna
that's
happen.
let me just say they are professionals. They are good at what they do. So the more you see, the more you
The
look
less-
at INEC, the less you see, because they are so dynamic, and all that. So boldly written at the front page of The Authority Papers, APC National Convention. Fayemi endorses Senator Sani Musa, says he has ability to take the party to the next level. And as we all know, the governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, is the chairman of the Governors Forum of Nigeria. And he has thrown his weight behind the bid by a leading aspirant for the position of national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Senator Sani Musa, saying that the aspirant has what it takes to take the party APC to the next level. You can continue reading that on page 2 of the Authority Papers. Sokoto generates 300 billion naira annually from onions, says Governor Tambuwal. That's on page 11. I actually key into that because personally the rate at which I use onion, forget it, my dear sister. We were talking about it yesterday. It's going to shock you. So even me, say the amount I invest in onion annually, not to talk of the amount all Nigerians invest on onions annually. And take, for example, if they export onions from Sokoto, if they export it maybe outside the country, the amount they make and all that, so it could actually amount to, it's a very good business, really, anyway. Then on page 6, Ukraine, Russia destroys world's largest plane. That's on page 6 of the Authority Papers. And on page 7, Abuja court turns down Abba Kyari's bail application. And still on illicit drug. And we read on the news this morning that Abba Kyari has been given the go-ahead to go treat diabetes. And we don't hope that ends there anyway. And we don't hope that it's a kind of, should I say, release in disguise. Let me put it that way. If it goes to treat his diabetes, he can come back and continue.
Can treat it there.
Justice Sharp. All right. Lastly, on the Authority
It's not that he has diabetes, Abi.
Before it was his glasses.
No, the thing was it was hiding. Yes,
So
situations make
the
situations.
detentions now.
Yes, yes.
He could actually be on drugs before he was arrested, and maybe he didn't have time to
carry
use
the
his
drugs.
or maybe the drugs he carried got exhausted.
Yeah,
and
nice
he needs
this morning.
to today is Tuesday, and he needs to
Maybe he's been on drugs. He forgot to take his drugs.
Sharp. Lastly, on the Authority Papers, on page 12, Buhari says, rising crude oil prices, great opportunity for Nigeria. You want to know how, like, as I read it, I even questioned how. You want to know how, you can get a how on page 12 of the Authority Papers. That'll be all on the Authority Papers.
Moving on to the Daily Champion this morning, broadly written on page 6, it says alleged drug trafficking court declines Abba Kyari's bail application, which is a recurring story. Zenith Bank records over 765 billion naira gross earning in 2021. The rider under that says surpasses market expectations with 10% growth increase. You can read up more on the same page 6. As regards ASU strike, angry students besiege minister's office and demand Adamu's resignation. You can still find these on page 6. Well, I'm wondering the group of angry students right here.
Are you not angry, Koyin?
Koyin is one of the NFA students we have in Nigeria. You know, when we tag someone a lazy Nigerian, Koyin is a typical example of a lazy Nigerian.
I'm not lazy. I'm just giving up on ASU.
No, actually, that reminds me of this. There's an interview I watched when the ASU strike started. A lady was a student, really, was interviewed that what does she feel about it? She was like, I'm happy. I'm like, what? Wow.
What do you want that to say? Because the whole situation is just
so at least
tiring.
you could just say, I'm not happy. It's unpleasant.
I asked my brother. I called my brother. I said, "What do you think? I mean, you're supposed to be planning for your 200 level." He said, "In every situation, you give thanks to God."
That's it. Because if you want to dwell on the situation,
you want to kill yourself.
Nigeria. You don't need to kill yourself, but the fact still remains that it's an unpleasant situation, and you don't
just be thinking unnecessarily
joy in that.
Please just find joy in this situation.
Okay, so in short, let's just say personally, at least the last time I experienced ASU strike was like 11, 12 years ago. So let me just say I'm unhappy on behalf of the whole Nigerian student presently.
Nobody said you.
Okay, moving on. Still on page 6, as regards to Romeo robbery, Obaseki meets head of security agencies and beefs up security in Edo State, vows to apprehend perpetrators. You can read
That
more.
robbery is still funny.
That would me robbery.
As in, it was planned, maybe not well planned, because they couldn't escape.
Exactly.
They couldn't escape. So it's just unfortunate that their plans didn't come to fulfillment, and I'm so happy about that. It's just the fact that they destroyed so many properties and lives were lost. It's just unfortunate.
Wow.
So federal government says, still on page 6, that we have received over 256 stranded Nigerians from Ukraine. The rider under that says, rising crude oil prices, great opportunity for Nigeria. Buhari says. Like, I don't understand. As global energy demand will increase by 356 in 2045, OPEC says.
Wow.
U.S. orders citizens to leave Russia immediately. All of this can be found on page 6. Audit query representative committee grills minister and other top officials over revenue loss as minister begs for more time. Defection, court dismisses suit seeking removal of Governor Umahi. Oyetola opens Oshogbo flyover, charges residents on safety measures. You can read up more on page 8. Lagos Island riots, NURTW chairman Kunle Poli further remanded for alleged murder. You can read up more on page 6. And on page 4 of the Daily Champion paper, CBN releases guidelines for Revenue 200 policy as court orders Apex Bank to release NNPC's 82 billion naira debt to Akwa Ibom communities. Seplat Energy's 2021 revenue rises by 38.2% to 293 billion naira. Declares 2.5% share for quarter 4 of the, and this can be found still on page 6 of the Daily Champions newspaper.
Let me share in your daily. So I'll be taking the Daily Independent. Missed flight. Help peace to meet with Emir of Kano soon, says Oyema. The story is on the front page and can continue reading on page 4. Some Nigerians trapped in Ukraine not willing to return.
Wow.
I didn't know whether to laugh. Jennifer, why did you propose the laughter now?
I laughed because the first thing that came to my mind is that.
So people are praying for you to come back, but you don't want to come back.
So I'm trying to understand. I want to put myself in their shoes.
Like, okay, like, put yourself in their shoes. Like, will you want to come back?
The first thing that came to my mind, the only thing that will make me want to come back is that my mother will be crying.
Yeah, maybe they're just trying to be positive that okay, this war will not last forever.
Do you understand?
All last forever.
Well,
Will you be among those that would survive it?
That's another thing. So in the aspect of it won't last forever. If it now ends and you have come back to Nigeria, and I'll be struggling for visa to go back.
That's another thing.
So federal government now, according to the writer, says they're going to begin evacuation of stranded Nigerians tomorrow. Wait, so they want to go and
That's the ones that claim to be
No.
Those that
want to, those that
want to come back.
Yeah, that's like the ones that agreed that they are stranded.
Because there's actually a video I watched, I think yesterday night, they were choked in a very small room.
Underground.
Why would you choose that kind of life?
They've not eaten. No, they actually ran to safety.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like they've not eaten
because of the war.
Yes, they've not eaten. They were just there. They couldn't have their bath. Like that. So like people like that, you can those that want to.
Some
be
of them
saved,
are sick.
Yes.
And
So those that wish to come back, they will. It's to me, it shouldn't even be by force. If you want to come back,
whatever comes after that.
So the federal government has actually proven, shown concern. So
kudos.
yeah, that's a good one.
All right, the story is there. You can continue reading also on page 4. And the major story on the front page says governors and ministers protest against draft electricity bill. It's illegal to treat federation as single electricity jurisdiction, says governors. Minister says provisions diminished powers of his office as coordinator. Those are the writers, and the story is there. You can read also on page 4. There's a lot to read on page 4. I bet the thing is looking like page 4. No? Because I can see another page 4 here.
Yeah.
NNPC gives IOC's conditions for the divestment from Nigeria. And the writer to that says they must address abandonment, decommissioning of oil assets, says Mele Kyari. The story is there also. You can read on page 4. So I'm going to move on to another page. Page 3. Constitutional amendment. NLC vows to shame lawmakers who vote against local government autonomy. And the writer to that says wants autonomy for the judiciary state legislatures. That's on page 3. And moving on to page 6. Ukraine seeks to join EU as a round of talks with Russia ends. And the writer to that says energy giants shall to end partnership with Russia's Gazprom. And I'll be taking page 7. Nance to block federal roads in southwest if ASU strike continues. Kanye, you want to say something?
I reserve my comment.
You're definitely affected.
They should carry on, please.
You are even tired of school. You don't look like someone that want to continue to read.
It's tiring, honestly.
Also on page 7, Zenith Bank surpasses market expectations with double-digit growth in gross earnings. And lastly, on page 6 at the very bottom, terrorists on rampage in Niger abduct construction workers. That's on page 6. And on the front page, we see the picture of Steve Omar Mufeme, Managing Director, Editor-in-Chief, Independent Newspaper, presenting letter of nomination of Independent Newspapers Minister of the Year to Senator Godswill Akpabio, that's Minister of Niger Delta, in Abuja on Monday. That was yesterday.
Okay, away from the dailies. I have the Nigerian pilot. On page 5, Russia-Ukraine crisis, 256 Nigerians in Poland, Hungary, Romania, says the federal government. Also on page 5, Jonathan's administration tried to bend electoral system, says the presidency. They've started. And the major headline, boldly written, sack Adamu now. That's the Minister of Education. And the writer to that says, Nas fumes as Education Minister walks out on protesting students. Nance meeting with Adamu over lingering ASU strike ended in deadlock. Accuses Minister of failure to resolve ASU strike despite several agreements and wants to be part of future negotiations between FG and ASU. These are the demands of the Nance. And there's also a picture, an image. Nance protests ASU's incessant strikes, accuses lecturers of rigging elections for politicians. You can get all of that on page 8. And we have on page 6, rising crude oil prices, great opportunity for Nigeria, says Buhari. That's on page 6. On page 9, NAS under pressure over voting in constitution amendment. That is on page 9. Governors want Senate to drop unconstitutional electricity bill, also on page 6. And on page 7, Niger State Governor evolves fresh strategies to flush out bandits. And on page 5, article says Nigerians will be in safe hands if he's elected president.
Wow.
Wow.
Take that again.
Amazing.
Article says Nigerians will be in safe hands if he's elected
I thought he has rested.
president.
Because I've not heard from him since this
You-
election.
you-
So
you say
suddenly
what?
He's coming out.
The thing
You
is,
say?
See, Obasanjo has said it. If people should go and rest. Your
You
generation
know,
should
yes,
just
somebody
relax.
said that he's a youth. You didn't hear it.
I heard everything. You should just go and rest. We
Excuse
don't
me.
need that kind of youth.
excuse me.
Okay, you analyzed it that day. You said his generation should sit or should relax. Okay, his generation of 60 years old or his generation
He
of
has come to tell you. They said allow the youth take over. He has come to tell you now
So
that he
he's a
too
youth.
is a
his
youth.
own generation of.
He is a youth in his generation.
Yeah, it could be a youth. It could
I
be a
fail
youth
to
at
understand.
heart.
You should go and relax.
It could be a youth
You
at
should go
heart.
and relax, Joy. You should go and
Sharp.
relax.
And it could be a youth at heart. And
You don't want youth
at,
at
at,
heart.
at the
We
same
need-
time,
Youth in body.
Vibrant, exactly.
Correct.
Vibrant looking youth.
I beg.
Before you people
I said,
will give people
Go
chance to
for-
relax.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know.
There's
if I can say this.
there's actually I read something I think over the weekend from Tinubu on
I was
the
going to talk
papers.
about him.
Okay, so
Is the youth.
he said he doesn't need physical energy to go to rule Nigeria.
Hey,
So
the
it could
spiritual is going to be using to
had-
guide us. Because I saw a video of him yesterday, and someone was telling me the video is long. Where Baba was, when
Yeah, it's not physical. You know,
It's
to
not-
to
it's not
rule
physical.
Nigeria, you need to
need
to
to-
have
Exactly.
he has to be mentally okay.
exactly. Then at the case of Atiku, quitters don't win. So if he quits, there's no how he will win.
To me,
if
I
he
just
quits.
overnight this morning. I don't know why.
So,
Maybe you woke up on the right side of the bed.
excuse
I
me.
don't want to talk about her niceness this morning.
Okay. oh.
Let me finish my newspaper before people give them bed to rest. Okay, so away from the article saying we'll be in safe hands.
Okay.
Moving on to page 9. Court refuses bail for Abba Kyari, fixes March 15 to hear case. And beneath the paper, the very, very, very bottom of the paper, Inter-Party Advisory Council says Electoral Act a watershed. That's on page 8. And that's all for the Nigerian pilot.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, our dear pilot.
Yeah.
All right, let me just jump to this Nigeria. ASU strike, minister walks out as meeting with Nance deadlocks. Students threaten to block all federal roads in southwest. Ejo, whether okay, I think we read it in the news this morning as well. So that's on page 5 of this Nigerian papers. Supreme Court to rule May 27 in Odeli's 6 billion naira defamation suit against Peter Side, Amaechi's 96 billion naira probe by Rev'd government. That's on page 4. Amid Ukraine peace talks in Belarus, Russian deadly attack kills 11. Nigeria kicks against Poland's blocking of citizens fleeing to their country. That's on page 4. But why? All right. APC convention. Governors meet today. Take over heads of committees. On page 5. Hypeman Nupeng buy car over illegal petrol price increase. So it's illegal. That's on page 9. But to me, whether illegal or not illegal, I don't know. I don't know how the filling stations will be mandated to sell at the normal price. So that it is what it is.
It is what
So
it is.
lastly, on this Nigerian papers, NLC storm National Assembly over LGA's state judiciary autonomy. That's on page 4, and there's a picture at the front page of this Nigeria. Members of Nigeria Labour Congress, NAN, during a rally for local government, legislature, and judicial autonomy in Abuja yesterday. That'll be all on this Nigerian papers.
Moving on to Al Jazeera newspaper, Hypeman to Nupeng. Blame X deport cost for pump price increase. You can read up more on page 11. Akwa Ibom oil spills. NNPC mobile to pay 82 billion naira compensation fee. You can read up more on page 8. APC constitutes 20 subcommittees for national excuse me.
Don't put it.
I refuse to. So APC constitutes 20 subcommittees for national convention on page 13 of the Al Jazeera newspaper. While Nigerians must face reality of airfare hike, fan says on page 9. Court upholds Umai's defection to APC on page 30 of the Al Jazeera newspaper. Local government autonomy, NLC mobilizes workers to NAS. You can read up more on page 10. 40% of Nigerian youth jobless, says AFDP boss on page 10. How did they come about this figure? It is well. Federal government asked to prove it cares for Nigerians in Ukraine, Ayim says on page 11. Court denies Abba Kyari's bail on page 16. All of these can be found on the Al Jazeera newspaper.
All right.
Quickly, because of our time, I'll take a few one from the Daily Trust. All eyes on National Assembly as lawmakers vote on Constitution Amendment today. COVID-19 killed over 3,000 Nigerians in 2 years, NCDC has said. Russian-Ukraine war. Federal government begins evacuation of stranded Nigerians tomorrow. 7 days to Buhari's ultimatum. Ministry yet to see NPA's pilotage contract. And the riders under that says revenue loss eats 102 billion naira. Pre-qualified bidders write president. Seek conclusion of process. No communication from Amechi. All of this you can get on page 5 of the paper. ASU strike, students revolt, blast federal government and lecturers. That's on page 6. And at the bottom of the paper, cocaine deal again. Court rejects Kyari's bail application. That's on page 5. Bauchi Governor okays Nuhu Wabi as new emir of Jamahari. That's on page 26. Okay, Zenith Bank records 244.5 billion naira profit. That's on page 22. And that'll be all on Daily Trust.
All right, I think our time is fast spent, and that'll be all on most of the headlines we took. They are actually in all the papers, so you can just get yourself any of the papers and get familiar with it. And all that. It is what it is. All right, thank you for joining us on today's edition of the newspaper review on Lagoon Radio. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria, Instagram and Twitter at Lagoonradio.Ng, and of course, if you need to put faces to the voices you're listening to, you can go to our YouTube channel on www.youtube.com/LagoonTV. My name is Simidili. Okay, have a nice day, ladies. Thank you.
Bye.
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 This is